New tonight on Our News Live at 7, tourism officials looking into reports some taxi drivers are presenting fake Bahama host documents. But first,
coming up tonight on Our News, the Bahamian diplomats recently back from Haiti tell the details of their last days in the country in crisis.
Plus, is the end in sight for the Village Road Improvement Project? We'll tell you what's next. And then at Our News at 7:30, protesters say they will take their immigration concerns to the upcoming CARICOM meeting. Our News Live at 7 starts now. Welcome to Our News Live at 7. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Kendino Knowles. Plans to restore the country's fiscal health are working, according to Prime Minister Philip Davis, who tabled the 2022 Fiscal Strategy Report and Medium-Term Budget Management Strategy in Parliament today. We've got more from today's proceedings in a moment, but now to this. The Bahamian diplomats who were extracted from Haiti last week sharing their experience and detailing what led to their removal from the country in crisis. Marlena Leonard is on the story.
It is indeed a country of, as our minister said this morning, ebbs and flows. But what happened on that date was abnormal, and so it was thought best for us to return home.
That's Captain Godfrey Roll, Chargé d'Affaires, responding to questions about the situation in Haiti leading up to the diplomats' removal. He tells us the event started on his birthday, January 26th, when the car carrying some of the group was suddenly stopped and relieved of their weapons. We asked Captain Roll to describe when it was that he felt like something was wrong. He says initially the Haitian police roadblock didn't seem unusual.
But when we got there, it was a different ball game. The fact that they said they wanted us out of the car. It was obvious that we were diplomats because the plate was on the Jeep. And we said to them we were diplomats, but they were not in any kind of state to have any sensible conversation with us.
Diplomatic attaché Rochelle Roll adding,
for me, I was okay. And the main thing is to just stay calm.
They're all immensely grateful for the fast action from the Bahamian government and the help of the Dominican Republic.
You know, we had spoken to Dominicans before when we did a security assessment last year. And we had already drafted a memorandum of understanding for them to assist us if there was a need to extract our Bahamian diplomats from Haiti.
The order is temporary, and a security assessment will have to be done before the diplomats can return, something Rolls says will be done as soon as possible. But even after recent events, there was a clear desire from the diplomats in the room to go back.
Look at the faces of these guys. Everybody ready to go. They're happy to serve the country. Once the assessment is done, and we're sure that things are settled down again.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Marlena Leonard.
All right, thanks, Marlena. And later on in our World News segment, you'll hear about 4 men accused of having played a key role in the assassination of Haitian President Jovenel Moïse that's led to this ongoing unrest in Haiti. The group of men has been transferred to the United States to face charges. We'll tell you all about it in just a bit. But the Free National Movement is now accusing the Davis administration of throwing in the towel when it comes to the issues in Haiti and the illegal migration of Haitian nationals to the Bahamas. The party is pointing to the crisis in Haiti and the recent uptick in illegal migrant landings, which the opposition party says threatens our national security and way of life. The FNM also taking issue with Foreign Affairs Minister Fred Mitchell, who suggested the country isn't struggling with the Haitian problem. The FNM says Immigration Minister Keith Bell is, quote, signaling our willingness to grant asylum to Haitians that are threatened in their country. The party says while it sympathizes with Haitian nationals who are directly affected by the crisis, the party is calling on government to petition Haitian and CARICOM officials, as well as the Organization of American States and United Nations, to take deliberate action in tackling Haiti's political and security challenges. Meanwhile, a group of protesters is threatening to take their demonstration even further. Those residents who are concerned about the illegal migration issue say they are looking to take their concerns to protests at the upcoming CARICOM meetings to be held here later this month. Leading today's protest was Coalition of Independence leader Lincoln Bain, who says it may not end there.
The Bahamian Prime Minister did not speak for the Bahamian people when he said that the Bahamian people are determined to solve the crisis in Haiti.
Thank you.
We need to be determined to solve the crises in the Bahamas.
That's right.
Last week, Immigration Minister Keith Bell announced stiffer requirements for Haitians applying for permits, noting that approvals will be considered on a case-by-case basis and granted in the most exceptional circumstances. But Bain is saying that that's not enough, urging government must close the door.
All applications to immigration is on a case-by-case basis. I don't know what he is trying to say. And he gave examples that if persons are in serious situations, like they are threatened by gang violence, or they've lost a parent, etc., that they will be allowed. These are extreme cases. The problem is, how do you verify this?
All right, our Jamila Mizik has much more on today's protest and a full report coming up in our news at 7:30. But a 21-year-old Abaco man is in hospital tonight after he reportedly attempted to take his own life. Police say it was shortly after noon on Tuesday when officers attached to the Foxtown police station were notified of the incident. The man was taken to the local clinic and then airlifted to New Providence, where he remains in hospital in stable condition. This as police in Grand Bahama are investigating two sex assault cases happening hours apart. The first incident just before 2 a.m. on Tuesday. Police say that's when a man burglarized a Freeport home and sexually assaulted a juvenile girl who was asleep inside. Police say a male resident heard the noise and confronted the suspect. They say after getting into a physical altercation, the suspect was able to escape. That incident came less than 48 hours after a 23-year-old woman was sexually assaulted in the Deadman's Reef area on Monday. Investigations into both matters are set to be ongoing. In the Privy Council, the country's final appeal court has shot down convicted cop killer Stephen Dye Stubbs' last bid for freedom. Stubbs had sought permission to appeal a 35-year sentence handed to him by the Court of Appeal in 2021 for the 1999 shooting death of Detective Corporal Jimmy Ambrose. The sentence takes effect from his conviction on July 25, 2013, but the Privy Council refused to hear the matter after finding that there was no risk that a serious miscarriage of justice had occurred. Stubbs has been tried 3 times for the murder that took place outside the Club Rock nightclub on West Bay Street. In July 2016, the Court of Appeal dismissed his appeal. The decision was later overturned by the Privy Council on the basis that one of the judges on the panel should have recused himself due to his involvement in the 2007 retrial. In 2019, the Court of Appeal dismissed Stubbs' appeal against conviction, but replaced his life sentence with a fixed term of 45 years, reduced to 35 years for time spent on remand. And the alleged forging of Bahama host certificates, the subject of an Our News exclusive. Our Berthany McDermott has details of the alleged scheme that now has officials on high alert. Please stick around for details of this coming up in about 5 minutes. But for now, we turn things over to meteorologist Greg Thompson. He's in the Weather Center with your first look at temperatures across the islands. And Greg, I'm still seeing we're in the high 70s tonight, yeah?
Yep, it's going to be a warm week, what's left of it. Actually, Miami broke their record. They were 84. I think they got up to 85. So yeah, this high pressure system that's been around is going to keep us rather warm for the next couple of days.
All right, we'll keep watching.
Yeah. Outside our studios though right now, it's warm, if you want to call it. 76, comfortable though. And the clear skies, it went out of the southeast at 6 miles per hour. It feels like temperature hanging around in the mid-70s as well. Temperatures around the islands tonight, it's 75 in Freeport, also in Marsh Harbor, Abaco. We pick up 76s in Allenstown, Bimini, here in the capital, as well as in Governor's Harbor, over in Great Harbor Key, 77. 78 in Nicholstown, Central Bahamas, 77 in Kemps Bay, as well as in Arthurstown, Cat Island, and in Deadman's Key, 78 in Georgetown, Coburn Downs, San Salvador, 75. Southeast Bahamas, temperatures near the 80-degree mark there. 79 in Duncantown, Ragged Island. We pick up 77s in Colonel Hill, Cricket Island, Delectable Bay, Abrahams Bay, as well as our neighbors to the southeast, Turks and Caicos, Matthewtown in Agua. You round out our temperature profile at 78. Quiet weather around the area, high pressure in charge, not much in terms of any clouds nor shower activity. That high is going to continue to stay with us for at least another 2 days before things start to change. We do expect a frontal boundary by the weekend, but that high is going to allow our temperatures to get up into the mid-80s, and our low tonight and for the next couple of days, with the lack of clouds, should fall into the low 70s, upper 60s, and of course that high, as I mentioned, will slide out towards the east by the weekend. We see a frontal boundary coming in. We'll tell you more about that later on in our extended forecast.
Still to come in our news, officials are tightening up on Bahama host certifications after reports of fake documents being used. And we'll tell you what's up next for the Village Road Improvement Project. And later, a new stage play promises to entertain and give back. We'll tell you how on the other side of the break. Prime Minister and Minister of Finance Philip Davis tabling the 2022 Fiscal Strategy Report and the Medium-Term Budget Management Strategy this morning in Parliament. However, Davis noting that in accordance with the Fiscal Responsibility Act 2018, the report was to be tabled on November 16, 2022. Prime Minister explaining why that was not feasible at that time.
At this time, the Bahamas was in the middle of its Standards and Poor's biannual credit rating review. Tabling such a document would have interfered with the independent review process. I would like to point out to this Honourable House that the results of the S&P Standard & Poor's review were not released until the 22nd of November 2022. This event was very significant for our country, for the first time in almost a decade. Positive signs were observed in the Bahamas credit rating. While the S&P rating did not provide an improved credit rating for Bahamas, it did provide an improvement in credit outlook from negative to stable.
Davis adding that the report was deferred to allow for the inclusion of its outcome in the government's projections, policies, and strategy. He says the medium-term debt management strategy also benefits from the country's rebounding credit profile, which is reflected in factors such as interest rates, access to financing, and the overall financing plan. Davis says that plans to restore the country's fiscal health are working.
As a result, the public can expect, 1, the achievement of a budget surplus by financial year 2024-2025, and a decline in the debt-to-GDP ratio to at least 67.1% by the financial year of 2026-2027. It is widely believed that the most recent FSR is the most comprehensive and clearly articulated strategy the country has ever produced. And these are not just technical achievements. They represent real progress for the Bahamas, progress that Bahamians are going to feel.
All right, some taxi drivers have allegedly been forging Bahama host certificates, and officials are now moving to tighten the process to prevent this from happening. Anthony McDermott explains.
Taxicab Union President Wesley Ferguson accusing some taxi drivers of forging Bahama host certificates. The certification is a requirement for taxi drivers to be on the road.
I've had reliable information from the office of the Bahama host office, where there's a lot of fraudulent documents being presented to them. The road traffic controller is also inundated with fraudulent documents in the effort for these new taxi drivers to now get their public service badge.
The Bahama Host program is a customer service training program for the ministry, initially designed to increase customer service engagement for public service drivers. Well, we put the issue to Director of Industry Training in the Ministry of Tourism, Kirkland Pratt, who says the issue has been brought to their attention.
We have determined that documents that are produced aren't authentic, and so inquiries have been made. Persons have been made to go back and retrieve the legitimate documents and or to submit to the full course for what it's worth.
The program requires a recertification after 3 years. Pratt says the industry training department is working to strengthen the process to prevent forgeries. One way is by going completely digital.
With the introduction of My Gateway, which of course, the government service is all digital, we will have a digital certificate.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Anthony McDermott.
All right, and now to our work in progress segment. Tonight, our Jamila Mizik tells us that the extensive works in the Village Road Improvement Project may be complete sooner than you think. Take a look.
The
The long-awaited Village Road Improvement Project is finally in its paving stage, but before that could happen, resident engineer Albrion Simnet Jr. says there's been a lot of stakeholder engagement.
We've been very active with keeping in touch with the business owners, so we always are very keen about ensuring, one, that they maintain access at all times. So even though this is a construction site, we've always had continuous flow of traffic, and so all of the businesses along here, for the most part, have been able to have uninhibited access.
However, he says a challenge has been motorists speeding and ignoring signage.
As the work proceeds, even though it's closing out, we still have to make sure we leave things safe for the workmen and the workwomen that are on the site, to allow all of them to actually be able to get their works done and traverse the site safely.
And as for the big question on everyone's mind, a projected completion date.
Mid to late February, barring any unforeseen circumstances. God willing, weather permitting. Right now, if the weather is good, we'll be able to get a bit more paving done in the days and in the evening times. So that's our current timeline. We're also looking to install traffic signal equipment. So we've installed the concrete pedestals for those traffic signals. The traffic signal equipment is here. A few more pieces are on the way, but as we close out the paving work, our next intention is to put in signage, to put in striping.
Reporting for Work in Progress for Our News, I'm Jamila Mizik.
When our news comes back from the break, we turn our spotlight to stories making headlines across the world as 4 suspects in the assassination of Haitian President Jovenel Moïse are sent to the United States. Plus, on this day in 1979, newly elected Pope John Paul II visited the Bahamas. And later, a comedy play hits the Atlantis Theater with profits going to a good cause. We've got the details when our news returns. This is our news. Welcome back. We turn our attention now to stories making headlines across the world. The funeral for Tyree Nichols, who died 3 days after a beating by police officers, was held in Memphis today. U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris addressed the congregation and paid tribute to the courage and the strength of his family. Civil rights campaigner Reverend Al Sharpton delivered the eulogy and condemned the killers. Nichols' death sparked a renewed nationwide outcry against police brutality as 5 officers were promptly charged with murder. Additional police and staff were fired in recent days.
It's a difficult day, but we're going to focus on the humanity within Tyree Nichols, the humanity that those police officers in the Scorpion unit of the Memphis Police Department did not see. And we're going to focus on that. Why couldn't they see the humanity in Tyree?
Police in Paris used tear gas against protesters opposed to pension reform on Tuesday as crowds marched in cities across France. Police say more than 87,000 people took part in the demonstrations opposed to President Emmanuel Macron's plan to make people work longer before retirement. With the pressure intensifying against government, it says it will stand its ground. And rail stations across England out of service today as rail workers take to the picket line on one of the biggest days of coordinated industrial action Britain has faced for decades. Drone footage showing trains traveling to and from London Bridge rail station. It's the capital's 4th busiest. The day before the service was expected to impact workers. Thousands of union trained drivers have rejected a recent pay offer and will be joined by staff from sectors across the economy to win pay rises that better reflect double-digit inflation. Pope Francis denouncing the poison of greed driving conflicts in Africa as he began a visit to Democratic Republic of Congo on Tuesday, saying the rich world had to realize that people were more precious than the minerals in the earth beneath them. Thousands, tens of thousands of people cheered as he traveled from the airport into the capital in his Pope-mobile, with some breaking away to chase it while others chanted and waved flags. Congo has some of the world's richest deposits of diamonds, gold, copper, cobalt, tin, tantalum, and lithium. But those have stoked conflict between militias, government troops, and foreign invaders. And 4 men accused of having played a key role in the assassination of Haitian President Jovenel Moïse have been transferred to the United States to face charges. The group was due to appear in a federal court in Miami today. President Moïse was shot dead at his home in the Haitian capital of Port-au-Prince in 2021 by what police described as a hit squad of mainly foreign mercenaries. 3 of the suspects are dual U.S.-Haitian citizens, and 1 is Colombian. The transfer of the 4 men from Haiti to Florida has brought the total number of suspects in U.S. custody to 7. And finally, prosecutors in Suriname have asked the High Court of Justice to uphold a 20-year jail sentence given to former President Desi Boutresse. The 74-year-old was convicted in 2019 of ordering the extrajudicial execution of 15 political opponents 4 decades ago. Boutresse has denied involvement in the executions. He insists the victims, who included lawyers, union leaders, and journalists, were shot while trying to escape a colonial-era fortress. Boutresse has since been appealing against this ruling and cannot be arrested until the process ends. Now, the court is expected to rule on the sentence later this year. Still to come in our news, today in history, find out interesting facts about the day that was February 1st as Arthur Hanna was sworn in as Governor General in 2006. Plus, Greg is back with your extended weather forecast. And then in our news at 7:30, we'll tell you why a United States official says removing visa requirements for Bahamians may be risky. It's coming up when our news continues. Welcome back to our news. It's time now to turn our spotlight on events that shaped the day that was February 1st. Take a look. On this day in Bahamian history in 1979, these newspaper clippings show the January 31st visit of newly elected Pope John Paul II. The Pope, who addressed a crowd at Queen Elizabeth Sports Center, was on his first overseas trip outside of Italy. Other stops on his tour included Dominican Republic and Mexico, where a conference of Latin American bishops, CELAM, was held. Then in 1987, James Smith was appointed governor of the Central Bank of the Bahamas. Smith served as governor from February 1987 to January 1997. Upon Smith's exit in 1997, Julian Francis was appointed governor and served in the post until May 2005. Then on February 1st, 2006, Arthur Hanna was sworn in as Governor General, serving in the post until his retirement in April 2011. Hanna entered politics in the late 1950s, joining the newly formed Progressive Liberal Party, and was elected to the House of Assembly in 1960 and served until 1992. Hanna, who is one of our country's founding fathers, holds the distinction of being the longest-serving deputy prime minister in Bahamian history. Hanna passed away in August 2021 at the age of 93. And finally, in 2021, UK website Find My Past published an article about Bahamian family names. The article points out that some Bahamian surnames come from freed slaves adopting their former slave masters' family names. Stephen Ridgen investigated if they were taken voluntarily. All right, well, The Long Weekend, written by Norm Foster and produced by Two Hoops Productions Limited, is a comedy play hitting the stage at Atlantis next month. Best part of the production, all of the net profits will go to the Bahamas Feeding Network, the Bahamas National Trust, and Lend a Hand Bahamas. Heather Hodgson-Kasoy is one of the lead actresses in the show and the founder of Two Hoops Productions.
All of our costs are indeed covered, so every dollar from every ticket that is sold is going to go to these charities, and we have 9 shows, and we have a 300-seat theater. I also know that you're going to see a very funny show. So it's not charity on your part, it's to come and see the show. You're actually going to be having a fabulous experience.
It's do good, get good.
Yeah.
Now, one of the Platinum sponsors is Sterling Global Financial, and Chairman David Kasoy says thanks to the support of other sponsors, all ticket sales will be going to charity. Beyond that, he also announced today that seats will be reserved for some of the community members served by Lend a Hand and Bahamas Feeding Network.
We talked about it and we said, you know, this is not about making money. This is about giving back. We're very fortunate that we have 3 meals a day. And there are many people that are happy to have 1 meal a day. Or I'm an avid boater, so I'm very passionate about keeping things as they are in the islands from a point of view of the environment. All the money is going to charity, so I don't know how much will be going to charity, but it's going to be probably very substantial to each charity equally.
All right, to learn more about the initiative and for all of today's top stories, you can visit ournews.bs. That's going to do it for us in News at 7. Joining us now is Atalia Hall with the latest headlines. Atalia, are you going to go? If you go,
I'm not sure. What about you? Maybe we could...
I think it's for a good cause.
Okay.
Right? It's for a good cause, and hopefully our viewers will also go and support. I mean, Lend a Hand, they were doing a lot during the pandemic and all the other...
Even the Bahamas Feeding Network as well.
Exactly, yeah. So maybe we should go.
All right, sounds like a date.
All right.
All right, Ken. Well, we have more from that protest today over what concerned residents are calling an immigration crisis.
Work on immigration is ongoing. First tonight on Our News Live at 7:30. The immigration minister gives an update on progress in the House of Assembly today. But before we get to that,
Bahamians taking their voices to the streets in protest of what they're calling an immigration crisis. I'm Jamila Mizik, and I'll have those details straight ahead.
and later we'll tell you why a top U.S. official in the Bahamas says getting rid of visa requirements for Bahamians would be risky. And later, police cracking down on guns and gangs with the formation of a new police unit. Our News Live at 7:30 starts in a moment. Welcome to our news and thank you for joining us. I'm Atalia Hall. Protesters line Bay Street once again today in protest of what they're calling an immigration crisis. They're also threatening to take their demonstrations to the upcoming CARICOM meetings that will be held here later this month. Jamila Mizik was there.
I do not hate Haitians. All we want is for the legal proliferation to stop on all levels. The smuggling of people, guns, and drugs.
Leader of the Coalition of Independence, Lincoln Bain, leading yet another protest centered on the immigration issue this morning, as protesters say they're fed up.
They are using the humanitarian situation as an excuse and a cover for crime. That's right. And Bahamians are suffering from this crime.
Last week, Immigration Minister Keith Bell announced stiffer requirements for Haitians applying for permits, noting that approvals will be considered on a case-by-case basis and granted in the most exceptional circumstances. But that's not enough for Bain, who says the government must close the door.
All applications to immigration is on a case-by-case basis. The problem is, how do you verify this?
Recently, the COI leader was seen on video questioning Haitian migrants about their immigration status. He has gone on record to defend his actions. Despite warnings from authorities, Bain says it's a fight he plans to continue.
Call the proper authorities and call me. That's right. Because if the authorities don't come, I come in. Where you see illegal shanty towns on your land, break it down.
But he says their issue isn't only with Haitians illegally residing in the country.
We're concerned about all illegal immigration. However, there is a crisis right now where we are being flooded and overrun.
And after today's protest, Bain says the next step is to take their voices to CARICOM.
And let them know that the Bahamian Prime Minister did not speak for the Bahamian people when he said that the Bahamian people are determined to solve the crisis in Haiti. Thank you. We need to be determined to solve the crises in the Bahamas.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jamila Mizik.
Thanks for that, Jamila. While illegal migration continues to be a pressing matter for many Bahamians, as the Minister of Labor and Immigration addressed some of those concerns in the House of Assembly this morning, Megan Shepard gives us the breakdown.
Just one day after Labor and Immigration Minister Keith Bell issued a stern warning to undocumented migrants and those working illegally in the Bahamas on January 18th, arrests were made.
The Immigration Enforcement Unit conducted operations to infiltrate a number of dancing clubs. Investigations indicate that some of these clubs illegally employ persons who enter the country as a visitor and also overstay the time granted by immigration to remain in the country. In one operation, Madam Speaker, 4 Jamaican females calling themselves the Mango Season Girls was taken in custody for working illegally and overstaying. They were charged and placed before the court, convicted, sentenced, deported, and placed on the restricted list.
Additionally, 396 irregular migrants from Haiti were intercepted in the area of Kisal Bank.
In that voyage were some 55 minor children, the largest number of minor children ever in the history of all these treacherous voyages.
Minister Bell says although the country may be challenged, progress on illegal immigration is being made.
Just yesterday, 3 repatriation exercises were undertaken by the Bahamas Immigration Department in collaboration with our law enforcement partners. There are a total of 251 persons were repatriated.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Megan Shepard.
Doing away with protocols requiring Bahamians to possess a U.S. visa or police record to travel would be risky. That's according to U.S. Charge d'Affaires Yusha Pitts. Berthing McDermott reports.
Days after Foreign Affairs Minister Fred Mitchell said he believes Bahamians should not need visas to enter the United States, U.S. Charge d'Affaires Yusha Pitts is weighing in.
I think that would be actually kind of risky for both of our countries because remember, there are still bad elements out there and we still do want to maintain border security. So I don't think that's recommended. I don't think it's been a discussion.
This isn't the first time Mitchell has spoken on the matter. His latest comments came on Monday as he was speaking at the opening of a passport office in Cat Island. Mitchell reiterated his sentiment.
If y'all can figure out how to get visa waiver from the United States, let me know. Because I keep telling them I have no idea why Bahamians need to have visas to go to the United States. I told them if the 400,000 of us decided to move to the States tomorrow, it wouldn't be even a blip on the map. So when you see them next time, when you see the president next time, whisper that in his ear. No visas for Bahamians.
Now, given the admission from the Foreign Affairs Minister, we asked Pitts if there has been any discussions, to her knowledge, to change the current protocols.
No, to my knowledge, there hasn't been any discussion of just getting rid of documents altogether.
Currently, a Bahamian traveling to the United States must have either a valid police record or U.S. visa. Pitts says only Bahamians and Canadians can travel to the U.S. on police records. However, Bahamians traveling to the U.S. from another country needs a visa to enter.
If a Bahamian is traveling from, say, Mexico or somewhere else, they do have to get a visa. And I think that's to be expected because you can't expect, Mexican immigration officials to evaluate a Bahamian police record. That just isn't going to work. So for right now, it only works if you're traveling directly from the Bahamas. But I think that makes perfect sense from a law enforcement perspective. We still have to maintain control of our borders and we still have to know who's going in and out.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
Thanks, Berthany. While 2 murderers will remain in custody after the Court of Appeal upheld their convictions and sentences. Meteor Bodie and Darius Williams were convicted in 2015 for killing Ricardo Johnson in 2014 after they broke into his home. Bodie, whom prosecutors said inflicted the fatal stab wounds, was jailed for 50 years, and Williams received a 45-year sentence for his role as an accomplice. At trial, both men ran a cutthroat defense and blamed each other for Johnson's murder. The prosecution placed both men in the area of the crime scene through tracking data from their ankle bracelets. Williams claimed that he was in the area because he was charging his ankle bracelet. He claimed that statements to police about witnessing Johnson's murder were coerced. In his testimony, Bodie said he and Williams went to Johnson's house to steal and saw Williams stab Johnson. The Court of Appeal affirmed the convictions after finding no merit in their appeals. Well, a viral video of an 8-year-old boy in a state-run children's home making it to Parliament. The Social Service Minister addresses the video of the young man who is visibly angry and using foul language. We've got the full story coming up in a moment, but for now, sunny and pleasant conditions in most parts of the country today. Meteorologist Greg Thompson joins us now live with the latest.
Yeah, thanks, Natalia. It has been a sunny and warm day around the islands.
Yeah,
Temperatures
it's been pretty nice.
Managed to get into the 80s, mid-80s, and looks like we're going to see that trend for the next couple of days before front gets in here. Yeah. 75 degrees outside our studios right now on the clear skies. The winds are out of the southeast at 6 miles per hour. We expect those winds to fall off even more as the night goes on. Your field strike temperature, very comfortable, 75 degrees. Satellite view, quiet around the area. Ridge of high pressure dominating our weather. That ridge is at the surface and aloft. That's keeping everything to the north, all the weather systems. But eventually that ridge will slide out towards the east. That's going to be paving the way for a frontal boundary. That should get near sometime Friday into Saturday. And we expect a slight cool down by the weekend. That's your first check on weather. Stick with us to look at your extended forecast as to the come.
Still to come on our news, the fight against illegal gangs and guns on our streets just got some more firepower with the formation of a new anti-gang and firearms unit. Plus, Social Services launches an investigation into how and why a video showing a boy in a distressing confrontation with an adult who was released. And the results are in from the Bahamas Electrical Workers Union election. We speak with the president about the upcoming term. That's all coming up when our news returns. Police in Bimini confiscated 10 grams of suspected marijuana on Monday. Reports indicate that around 4:30 p.m., officers attached to the Alistown Police Station conducted a routine stop in search of a vehicle on Kings Highway and found the drugs, which have an estimated street value of $100. Police also confiscated $236 believed to be the proceeds of crime. Well, Bimini police need your help in finding a 26-foot vessel with twin Mercury 250 horsepower engines. Police say it was taken sometime between 9 a.m. and 8 p.m. on Monday. The white 2003 vessel, valued at $70,000, was stolen from Wildcrest Apartments on Kings Highway. Now, if you have any information on the vessel, you are asked to call police at telephone numbers 911, 919, or the Bimini Police Station. While officials gathering at police headquarters to officially launch the Anti-Gang and Firearms Investigation Task Force today, Prime Minister Philip Davis, who was on hand for the opening, says the fight against illegal weapons and gang-related activities is a critical one that affects the safety of citizens.
The opening of this new Anti-Gang and Firearms Task Force unit represents a significant step towards forward in our efforts to keep our citizens safe and secure. The threat of firearms-related crime has weighed heavily on our communities for too long. Unfortunately, using firearms in criminal activities has resulted in countless acts of violence and terror, causing immense harm and suffering.
Also on hand for the opening were officials from the United States Embassy. U.S. Charge d'Affaires Yusha Pitt says while it is solely a Bahamian law enforcement agency, she says they will lend support, which could come in ways like training.
In terms of sending RBPF and RBDF officers to the United States, to El Salvador. We even do workshops in country, so we do a lot of training in country. And then the final piece I would probably highlight is just the actual sort of physical support in terms of tangible resources that we bring. And so somebody like Bridget Premont provides funding for training and for physical support, like the vehicles that we donated yesterday.
Well, a video going viral yesterday showing an 8-year-old boy visibly angry, crying, and using foul language. The boy is a resident of a government-run children's home here in New Providence. Minister of Social Services Obi Wilchcombe addressing that video in the House of Assembly this morning.
That video was purposely recorded in May of 2021 and was done for a particular reason, Madam Speaker, which remains confidential. The boy, now 10 years old, is in the care of the state and receives the necessary attention that's required. I wish to inform the House that we are investigating the release of the video, the how and the why. I don't speak about, for the record, that was reported in May of 2021, and the young man is receiving the due care and attention from Social Services and from the Ministry of Health.
When our news comes back from the break, the president of the Bahamas Electrical Workers Union secures another term. His plans for the union straight ahead.
Plus, coming up in sports for you tonight, track and field activities starting to heat up as the Carifta Championships draw ever closer right here in New Providence. Details ahead in sports.
Plus, how's the weather shaping up for the rest of the week? Greg is back in the Weather Center right after this quick break. This is our news. Welcome back. The Bahamas Electrical Workers Union election is now in the history books, and President Kyle Wilson was voted back in office. Wilson telling our news he was always confident about his win due to the work he has put in over the years. He also says going forward, it is his plan to provide more benefits for the members.
I've made a promise to those who would have had separate benefits from others that we're going to right the field for everybody. Those who are going to retire, I said, look, we're going to get an insurance for you that is comparable that you can afford into retirement. And for us, for one that includes vision and dental, I think BPL is only one of the major corporations that don't have vision and dental in such an expensive, what I would deem costly insurance. And so we want to have vision and dental added to the insurance.
Now, Wilson says over 95% of the electorate voted for him, and those who may not support him, he had this message.
There's an issue, come to me, let's reason. You know, we're still one union and we still got to remain strong. We're stronger together. Divided, we can fall apart, we can have issues, but if we stay strong as a union, united, we can have differences, we can have issues, but come, let us reason together and let's work the issues out. I'm not aware of anything. Only God is omnipresent to all the issues. So the persons may have issues that I may not be aware of, and they may think that I am, but I'm actually not.
Track and field action in full swing as local meets look to get athletes qualified for Carifta. Meanwhile, local basketball action continues with 2 games on schedule for tonight. Here's Marcellus Hall with a check on sports.
All right, thanks, Natalia. Welcome to our sports, everybody. I'm Marcellus Hall with the Carifta Championships being set to be held right here in New Providence this April. Track and field activities starting to ramp up here in the capital as Carifta qualifiers look to try to get on the board. Right now, let's take a look at one of those meets that's coming up right around the corner. With Carifta set to be held here in New Providence in April, the battle to make the Bahamas Carifta team starting to heat up with track and field activities almost every single weekend, including this one, as the Oak Tree, the Star Performance Track and Field Classic comes your way. It's being dubbed Battle 2 Carifta. It's going to be held on this coming Saturday at the Thomas A. Robinson Stadium from 9 o'clock until 6. Right now, athletes from all the various track clubs around New Providence and some from the Family Isles will converge on the island of New Providence, hoping to make those qualifying standards. Meanwhile, speaking of track and field, there's another major track and field event that's scheduled to take place a little bit later on this year. It's going to come your way June 16th to the 18th. It's the Speed Capitals World Junior Championships. It's a major event featuring, again, athletes from not only the Bahamas, but from around the region and, of course, the United States as well. It's going to be pretty interesting to see how this one turns out. Already, interest has been drawing from a lot of these different countries as they look forward to getting down here and competing at the Thomas A. Robinson Stadium. On to some basketball, where the New Providence Basketball Association is set to continue action. 2 games on the agenda for you tonight at the AF Alley Gym. Starting with your Division II matchup, it'll feature Discount Distributors Rockets as they go up against Cybertech. That game comes your way at 7 o'clock. That'll be followed by your Division I game tonight, Commonwealth Bank Giants going up against the Zulu Media Marketing Squad. They'll give you details and scores coming up for you tomorrow. And that's your check on sports here on this Wednesday. I'm Marcellus Hall. Back to you, Italia.
And don't go away just yet. If you have plans this weekend, stick around for your extended weather forecast when our news continues. Welcome back to our news. Can we expect more pleasant conditions ahead this week? Well, Greg is back in the Weather Center live with your extended weather forecast. Now, Greg, we spoke earlier about a few people who may have gotten their car washed recently, so I'm hoping for no rain.
Calling no names.
I'm hoping for no rain.
Calling no names. Yeah, no. You wouldn't have to worry too much about any rainfall. Okay, we'll call Kendino's. We'll call Kendino's name. Dew is basically what you have to worry about. Well, be concerned about early in the morning because we're gonna have clear skies. The winds are gonna fall off. So that what we call radiation and cooling. That heat will escape rather fast, and that's gonna continue to keep some dew. So Kendino, if you have plans of washing those cars, you might have to include Italia's car as well. Yeah, but the high pressure system still dominating our weather. That's, like I said, gonna suppress cloud development, shower activity, and the winds falling off at night will keep our temperatures rather cool. Nighttime temperatures will get into the 60s, upper 60s and low 70s. Daytime temperatures will climb into the mid 80s, but that high will eventually slide out towards the east by Friday. That's going to be paving the way for the system that's across the central portions of the southern United States. That front will brush us by Saturday, bringing us a couple isolated showers. Not much in terms of any cool down behind that, but the winds will be picking up, so it's going to be a little bit breezy for the weekend. Forecast map showing nothing really happening across us. Some spotty showers out there in the open Atlantic, but here comes the front. That front is expected, as I said, to get here by Friday evening into Saturday. Line is going to fall apart, but not much weather is expected once the front gets in here. Boating, northwest Bahamas, east to southeast winds, 10 to 15 knots. Those winds will fall light and variable at times. Seas running 2 to 4 feet over the ocean. Your low tide will be at 11:03 tonight for the southeast Bahamas, central and southeastern islands, pardon me. Small craft caution in effect. Your winds slightly stronger, easterly at 15 to 20 knots. Your seas will be running 4 to 6 feet over open waters. Here's a look now at your national forecast. In your extended forecast, quiet and warm weather throughout the remainder of the week. Frontal boundary gets in here by Friday. Couple isolated showers, maybe an afternoon thunderstorm, but things will be rather quiet for the beginning of next week. Back to you.
Greg, is that 69 degrees I see?
Yeah, then there's a more significant front we expect to get
Sunday,
here
so I got to get my coat out for this weekend.
Yeah.
All right, you hear that, guys? All right. Thanks so much, Greg. And thank you for joining us for our news tonight. To see all of our top stories, you can visit ournews.bs. And remember, you can find and share all of your favorite stories right from the Our News Bahamas Facebook page. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Natalia Hall. We'll see you tomorrow night. Have a great evening.